Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Ballava Girivaradari Jaya Gopi Jana Ballava Girivaradari Yasodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yasodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yasodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Ballava Girivaradari Jaya Gopi Jana Ballava Girivaradari Jaya Yasodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yasodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yasodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Prayashara Stochara Sata Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Sri Lacey Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Gantra Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Thai Gaur Pramanande Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto number 4, chapter number 16, titled The Praise of King Prithu by the Professional Reciters. Text number 20. Ayam bhuvo mandalam odayadre. Ayam bhuvo mandalam odayadre. Gopte kaviro naradevanata. Gopte kaviro naradevanata. Astaya jaitram ratam atachapaha. Astaya jaitram ratam atachapaha. Paryasyate dakshinato yatarkaha. Paryasyate dakshinato yatarkaha. Ayam bhuvo mandalam odayadre. Gopte kaviro naradevanata. Astaya jaitram ratamata chapaha. Paryasyate dakshinato yatarkaha. Ayam bhuvo mandalam odayadre. Gopte kaviro naradevanata. Astaya jaitram ratamata chapaha. Paryasyate dakshinato yatarkaha. Matajis. Ayam bhuvo mandalam odayadre. Gopte kabiro naradevanataha. Astaya jaitram ratamata chapaha. Paryasyate dakshinato yatarkaha. Word for word translation. I am this king, Bhuvaha, of the world, Mandalam, the globe, Udaya Adre, from the mountain where the first appearance of the sun is visible, Gopta, will protect. Eka, uniquely. Viraha, powerful, heroic. Naradeva, of all kings, gods and human society. Nataha, the master. Asthaya, being situated on. Jaitram, victorious. Ratham, his chariot. Atachapaha, holding the bow. Paryasyate, he will circumambulate. Dakshinataha, from the southern side. Yatha, like. Arkaha, the sun. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. This king, being uniquely powerful and heroic, will have no competitor. He will travel around the globe on his victorious chariot, holding his invincible bow in his hand and appearing exactly like the sun, which rotates in its own orbit from the south. Purport. In this verse, the word yatarkaha indicates that the sun is not fixed but is rotating in its orbit, which is set by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is confirmed in the Brahma Samhita and also in other parts of Srimad Bhagavatam. In the 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, it is stated that the sun rotates in its own orbit at the rate of 16,000 miles per second. Similarly, Brahma Samhita states, Yashya Gnaya Brahmati Sambritakala Chakraha. The sun rotates in its own orbit according to the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The conclusion is that the sun is not fixed in one place. As far as Prithu Maharaj is concerned, it is indicated that his ruling power would extend all over the world. The Himalayan mountains from which the sunrise is first seen are called Udayachala or Udayadri. It is herein indicated that Prithu Maharaj's reign over the world would cover even the Himalayan mountains and extend to the borders of all oceans and seas. In other words, his reign would cover the entire planet. Another significant word in this verse is Naradeva. As described in previous verses, the qualified king, be he King Prithu or any other king who rules over the state as an ideal king, should be understood to be God in human form. According to Vedic culture, the king is honored as the Supreme Personality of Godhead because he represents Narayan, who also gives protection to the citizens. He is therefore Nata, or the proprietor. Even Sanatan Goswami gave respect to the Nawab Hussain Shah as Naradev, although the Nawab was Mohammedan. A king or governmental head must therefore be so competent to rule over the state that the citizens will worship him as God in human form. That is the perfectional stage for the head of any government or state. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chaksu Mritamena Tasme Shri Guruve Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktarinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So we're continuing our discussion of Maharaj Prithu. The professional reciters, they're glorifying Maharaj Prithu. And in these verses, they're especially praising King Prithu of how he will be an ideal king. According to Shastra, specifically 5th canto of Bhagavatam, it mentions that there are 5 qualities that every ideal king or leader must possess. So I'll state them out first and then we can discuss them. So all these praises these professional reciters are reciting, they will all touch on one of these 5 points. So number 1, ideal king. So I'll just list out the 5. Number 1 is palana. Palana means protection. Number 2 is posana. Posana means the king must, or the leader must make sure that there is enough food for all the citizens of all those people under him. Then palana, poshana, prinana. Prinana means to give gifts and charity. Then comes upalanana. Upalanana means he must speak sweet words. And then finally, number 5 is anushasana. Anushasana means he must give good instructions. And if someone is doing something wrong, it's his duty to point out and to correct that person. So according to Shastra, if a king does all 5 of this, then he's considered as an ideal king. First one is palana. Palana means it is the king's duty or responsibility to make sure all the citizens are protected, both materially and spiritually. Material protection means the king must make sure that thieves, rogues, bad elements in society, if there is any such kind of people, then it's his duty to punish them. Prabhupada in his purport, he explains that previously in Vedic culture, the king was so strict that if anyone is caught stealing, committing any crime, then the punishment used to be so heavy that there didn't used to be so much crime rates. For example, Prabhupada writes, even hundreds of years ago, there were kings in India, and if a particular person was caught stealing, then the punishment would be, they would just chop off his hand. And because the government was so strict, the king was so strict, no one would dare steal. And Prabhupada explained, this is how a king is supposed to rule. This is how a head of state is supposed to rule. He should be very strict when it comes to dealing with miscreants. If we're not strict, Prabhupada explains, then that will give room. People think, I can get away with it. Worst case scenario, okay, I'll get caught, I'll put in prison for a few weeks, then I can come out again, I'll be free again. So Prabhupada says the government should be strict. And Prabhupada writes in Manu Samhita, it's given that if a person murders another person, then the best punishment for the murderer is to give them capital punishment. Why? Because if we don't give them capital punishment, then because they didn't get the karmic reaction in this life, in the next life they have to suffer for the murder they committed in this life. So by undergoing capital punishment, in the next life, that murderer, when he's born, he has a clean slate. He can start his life fresh. So according to modern views of people, this is considered as too strict. But if we see through the eyes of Shastra, actually this strictness is necessary. This strictness protects the citizens from rogues, thieves, plunderers, murderers, so on and so forth. That's why in Vedic times, crime rate, there was not so much crime rates. And why? Because everyone knows, this king is very strict. If I mess up, if I get caught, they'll chop off my hand, I will go to prison, or I will get death penalty if I'm caught murdering someone. So this is the first duty of the king, that he must give protection or palana. So protection goes both ways. There is material protection, which we just talked about. Second is spiritual protection. In Bhagavad Gita, if you remember, the first verse of chapter 4, in that purport, Prabhupada explains that is the duty of a king to protect its citizens from lust, or from the desire to enjoy one's senses, from the desire of sense gratification. So that's the second half of palana, or protection. He must give material protection for the citizens, but he must also give spiritual protection. He must protect citizens from sense gratification, and he must make sure there's arrangements in place for the spiritual upliftment of everyone in his kingdom. So nowadays, for our governments, they try to do the first half of protection, giving material protection, but they fail even in that case. Crime rates everywhere is increasing. Just like yesterday, Janmashtami Prabhu, he was saying 50 years ago in American schools, the three biggest problems was, number one, chewing gum under the table, number two, talking back to teachers, and number three was cheating in exams. So that was the three major problems in American schools. Now, 50 years later, the three biggest problems in American schools is, number one, teachers being assaulted by students. Number two, teenage pregnancy. And number three, gun shootings in schools. So this is called progress. We have progressed so much. In the last 50 years, we have so much technology, so many big buildings, so much, AI this, AI that. So is this real advancement? Is this real progress? No, actually we've gone backward. But people, they don't understand this. They're, like Prabhupada says, people are mesmerized by the glare of the material energy. Prabhupada uses this term many times in his purports, how everyone is bewildered by the glare of the illusory energy. Just like at night time, you're driving and someone has their high beam up, that glare of the high beam coming from the other side of the road, it temporarily blinds us, right? And we get bewildered like, suddenly. So Prabhupada says Maya's illusion is like that. The glare of Maya completely bewilders us and we're unable to see, we're like blinded actually. That's why it requires persons who have read the Shastras to open people's eyes. That's why we need personalities like Srila Prabhupada to open our eyes. Otherwise, going with social media and everything, we will all think that yes, we're advancing. Compared to 50 years ago, 100 years ago, we're so much better, we're so much more happy. But if we actually look at the statistics, we're actually going backwards. Same way Janmashtami Prabhu was saying that, the rate of depression, has increased by 50% in the last 20, 30 years. Nowadays, it's most countries, or at least in the Western countries, 1 in 3 people, they suffer through some kind of mental illness. So are people actually becoming more happy? No, actually people are becoming more and more miserable. So even materially speaking, although it seems that our leaders are giving material protection to its citizens, actually, even in that sense, they're failing. They're unable to even give material protections to their citizens. What to speak of the second half of giving spiritual protection? So spiritual protection means the heads of state, they should arrange facilities for the citizens, for them to spiritually advance. But where is that facilitation? All the money of the government, it goes towards slaughterhouses, gambling machines, casinos, big universities which just teach us, how to work as Shudras for IT companies. So this is where all the money is going. Where is the endorsement? Where is the money going for creating facilities where people can be spiritually elevated? Nowhere we see this. So in both senses, material protection and spiritual protection, our current leaders around the world, they are failing. But in Vedic times, the king was able to do all of this. That's why in the purport, Prabhupada's writing, that's why these kings, they were considered as Naradev. They were considered as gods among men. And they were given the same respect as one would give the Supreme Personality Godhead. Because they were so exemplary in character. They used to offer full material protection and they used to also take care of citizens' spiritual well-being. So that's number one. Number two is Poshana. Making sure that everyone has enough food and shelter. Then number three is Prinana, which means giving gifts in charity. We heard some time ago the example. Just like the sun, it evaporates all the water, takes it up into the sky, and at times of need, the sun again gives back the same water in the form of clouds giving rain. So a king is supposed to be like the sun. He should collect taxes from the citizens. But not only should he collect taxes, but at times of need, he should give back the taxes as gifts and different things that are useful for the citizens. But our modern leaders, they're very expert, in taking so much taxes from the citizens. But in terms of actual benefit for the citizens, very little is coming. Like His Holiness Jai Dvaita Maharaj, in his class, I think 1 or 2 weeks ago, he was explaining how the modern leaders, they're simply collecting more and more taxes, and a lot of this taxpayers' money just goes into the pockets of our politicians. Like it's mentioned, like if you look at China, for example, if you look in the chart of the top 30 richest people in China, most of the top 30 richest people in China, they're all politicians. So, from that we can understand what's happening. So, that is prinana, giving gifts in charity. So yes, the king should take taxes, but he should again, whatever money he is taking, he should again give back to the citizens as gifts. Then comes upalanana, which means speaking sweet words of encouragement. When someone speaks something nice to us, then that inspires us to continue on. That, Prabhuji, today your kirtan was very sweet, you sing like a Gandharva. Then that devotee will feel very happy and he will be inspired to sing and lead more kirtans. In this way, Krishna's service is expanding. So that's another duty of a king. And then finally is anushasana, which means to give good instructions, to teach the citizens, this is how we should act, we shouldn't do this, we should behave like this. And if the king sees someone doing something wrong, it's his duty to stop that person. Just like we see in first canto, right? Maharaj Parikshit is on his horse, touring the kingdom, seeing how everything is. And as he's touring the kingdom, he comes across a Shudra, dressed as a king, beating a cow and a bull, mercilessly. So immediately when Maharaj Parikshit, he sees this, immediately he takes out a sword, ready to punish. Kali personified. So that is also the duty of a king. So these 5 principles of what a king should do, we can expand to any leader. Anyone in any kind of leadership position, he should, to qualify as an ideal leader, he should tick all 5 of these boxes. So who is a leader? In one way or another, all of us are leaders. Leader means that he has or she has some kind of influence on people under him or her. It might be 1 person, 2 persons, 3 persons, 10 persons, 100, 1,000, 10,000, 1 million. So all of us are leaders in a small sense or big sense. One sense or another, we're all leaders. We all have people who look up to us, people who take inspiration from us. So for us to be an ideal leader, we need to tick all 5 of these boxes. So parents, they're also leaders. They lead their children, right? The children, they look up to their parents. So parents have a responsibility to tick all 5 of these boxes. A teacher is also a leader. Students look up to the teacher and take lessons from the teacher. So every teacher must tick all 5 of these boxes. So any kind of leader, in any sense, should have these 5 qualities. For example, let's say, for example, I am the head chef of the temple. Okay, you can imagine me, with the chef hat, wearing apron, in the kitchen, cooking. So I am the head chef of the temple. So in that sense, I am one type of leader. So what is my duty? What is the first responsibility of every leader? What's the Sanskrit? Palana. Palana means protection, right? So when people come to the kitchen to help with chopping or cooking, what's the first thing I should do? I should immediately look down at their feet and see if they're wearing shoes or slippers. If they come to the kitchen bare feet, it's a hazard, right? while they're cooking with bare feet, hot oil can fall, hot curry, sabji can fall. If a knife falls on their feet, they will get cut. So it's my responsibility as a leader in the kitchen to make sure no one comes to the kitchen bare feet, right? So that's the first principle, palana. Palana means protection. So that's material protection. So I must make sure that whoever is working in the kitchen, they have proper, shoes on, proper dress on for their own protection. Yes? If I fail to do this, I am failing as a leader. So these principles of Bhagavatam, they're very practical. We can apply them in any field, anywhere. Then what's the second half of palana? Spiritual protection. So I must make sure that people working in the kitchen, they're working in nice consciousness. There's some kirtan going in the background. People are working in nice consciousness, nice mood. They don't seem disturbed. If I see someone disturbed, it's my responsibility to talk to them, ask what's happening. Then what comes next? First is palana, second is poshana. And poshana means? Sorry? Yes, poshana means there is enough food for everyone. Bellies are nourished, they have physical food, shelter, so on and so forth. So whoever comes to the kitchen, it's my duty to make sure that they are fed nicely. Not that they work 3-4 hours and at the end they get nothing and they go home hungry, Then that person will never come back to help in the kitchen, right? He'll be like, man, this guy, he will just make me work hard for 3-4 hours and then I don't even get prasad. Better I stay outside. So this is the duty of a leader. He should make sure, whoever is under him, they're fed properly, right? So whoever comes to the kitchen, I need to make sure that either I give them prasad before they start cooking, or I give them a break in between and give them prasad at that time, or at the end, when they finish, I give them prasad. Then that devotee will be happy, and then they'll be inspired to come back again. That yes, I come, I do seva, and I will get nice prasad, either before or afterward, This guy will take care of my prasad, I will get nice prasad. So then that person will come. Okay, so then that's the second box ticked. Then what's number 3? Loudly. Hey, you're making up. He's adding a 6th one. Prinana, yes. Prinana means speaking sweet words. So I come, I check if they're wearing proper shoes, I take care of their material protection, then I make sure there's arrangement for their prasad. Then I see them, working nicely in the kitchen, chopping nicely. Then if I see them something good, I should encourage them. That, wow, you're chopping very nicely, this is perfect size, this is exactly the way I wanted. Or, this sabji you made is very nice, or you're doing this nicely. When we say sweet words like that, that person will be encouraged, right? And he'll feel more inspired to continue serving Krishna, to continue serving Radha Gopinath. Then what's number 4? Upalanana. Prinana is giving gifts. Upalana is speaking sweet words. So we covered number 4. The third one is giving gifts. That's called prinana. So in the kitchen, the main source of gifts is giving people prasad. So at the end or at the beginning, we can give them some nice prasad. I know Vanamali Prabhu, sometimes he keeps some special maha sweets, burfi, sundae, sweet rice. So at the end, for whoever has been helping him, sometimes he gives them, maha burfi, sweet rice, sandesh. So that's like a special gift for them. I remember when I first came to the temple, I used to help in the kitchen. That time there was one devotee called Jitendriya Prabhu. He used to be the head chef. And that time in the temple they used to sell cheesecakes. Nice, professional cheesecakes. So I used to come help, and at the end he used to always give me one slice of strawberry cheesecake. So every Sunday when I used to come, I used to always look, meditate at the end how I'll get my slice of strawberry cheesecake. So this is called giving gifts, prinana. Then number 4 is upalanana, speaking sweet words. When we see someone doing something nice, we should encourage them that, wow, you're doing this so nicely. Very, very nice, this is very good. Then they will feel inspired to do more. Then what's the final one, 5th one? Yes, anushasana. Anushasana means we should give good instructions. One problem we all face is that it's mentioned that, we're very quick to find faults, but it's said that first we should train, then after training someone, that, okay, you should do it like this, like that. You shouldn't do like this, you shouldn't do like that. First, we should give people that training. Then after training, if someone still does the wrong thing, then we have a right to point out their faults. Otherwise, without training someone, we can't point out the faults. Because they'll say that you never taught me this. So how am I supposed to know that I'm not supposed to do this way? How am I supposed to know that this is wrong? How am I supposed to know this is the right way to do? So it's our duty as leaders to first train the devotees first, or train the people under us first. That this is how you do it. Okay, this is how you chop. This is how you make the sabji. This is how you clean. You put the soap like this. You do this. Rinse it. Then you dry it. You put it here. So first we must train. First we must give good instructions in how things are supposed to be done nicely in Krishna's service. Then after having given good instructions, or after training persons under us, then we have a right, if we see them doing something wrong, to point out that, hey, look, just an hour ago I told you we should do it like this. How come you're not doing like this? Then we have a right. Otherwise, without training, how can we correct? Right? It doesn't make sense. Then the person will immediately argue that you never taught me this. So first we must train. So that's called anushasana, which means it's the duty of a leader to train people under him in how to do things properly in Krishna's service. Then after training, if he still sees persons doing something wrong, then he can, in a nice, polite, way, he can point out. So correction is also a part of anushasana. So when people come to the kitchen, it's my duty as head chef to show them how things are properly done. Okay, carrot I want chopped in this size, half semicircles, this thickness. Potato, you dice them this size. When you go to wash the pot, you wash it like this, make sure there's nothing at the bottom, you put the pots here. Like this, it's my duty to give them training on how things are done nicely in the kitchen. Then still, if I see them not doing something properly, then I can come later on and tell them that, Prabhuji or Mataji, not like this, like this. We need to be doing it like this. So very practical, right? These 5 principles. So same way with parents. It is the duty of a father or a mother to make sure he gives material protection to their children, and spiritual protection. It is a duty to make sure there is food for the children, they're not starving. And it's a duty to speak sweet words, give gifts to the children, and also give training to the children. And if the children are doing something wrong, it's the duty of parents to point out the mistakes of the children. Any kind of field we take, any kind of leader in any kind of field, he should tick these 5 boxes. If he is unable to tick all 5 boxes, or she is unable to tick all 5 boxes, then they can't be classified as a good leader. So we can remember this. Palana, Poshana, Prinana, Upalanana, and Anushasana. So who does this apply? To all of us. All of us are in one sense or another leaders. So King Prithu, he was ticking all 5 of these boxes. And in all of these verses, we're seeing these professional reciters glorifying King Prithu in relation to one of these 5 principles. Now, unfortunately, in our current society, our leaders, what to speak of ticking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 boxes, they don't even tick any one of these boxes. They fail in all 5. So what to do? We have demons in the disguise of leaders and heads of state in planet Earth at the moment. So Prabhupada, he mentions that a similar situation was present 5,000 years ago. Like we read at the start of Krishna book or 10th canto. 5,000 years ago it's mentioned in Bhagavatam that demons, they had taken birth in the family of all great Kshatriya families all around the world. It's said in Satya Yuga, demons, they used to live in different planets. And demigods and other people, they used to have their own planets. So demons, they were far away from everyone else. Demons, they used to have separate planets. That was in Satya Yuga. Then in Treta Yuga it's mentioned that demons, they were there on the same planet, but they would be in a different country. So there'll be a whole country full of demons, and then there'll be another country full of devotees. Then it's mentioned in Dwapara Yuga, demons and devotees, they would take birth in the same family. So in one family, in the same family, demons were being born. Just like we see in Krishna's family. Krishna's uncle was Kamsa. One of the greatest demons of all time. So in one family, in the same family, demons were being born. So this was the situation 5,000 years ago. That in all great Kshatriya families all around the world, demons were being born. And as these demons grew up, they became kings. And they took over the planet Earth. So Mother Earth, she was overburdened by all these demoniac kings. So she went and appealed to Lord Brahma that, all these Kshatriyas at the moment, they're all demons. All these kings on my surface, they're all demons. And they're just simply increasing their military power and doing all nonsense. Please, I need help. Then as we all know, all the devatas, along with Brahma, Shiva, they go to Shiradaksha Vishnu. They appeal to Vishnu. And Vishnu from Brahma's heart, he tells them, don't worry, soon I will appear. So Prabhupada explains, just like 5,000 years ago, when there were so many demons as rulers of planet Earth, Krishna appeared to save the day in the same way Prabhupada explains. Similarly, at the present moment, we have the same situation. We have demons as rulers of planet Earth. So Krishna has again descended. How? Prabhupada explains, just like 5,000 years ago, Krishna appeared personally, in the same way Prabhupada explains. Now Krishna has taken birth in the womb of the Hare Krishna movement. So just like 5,000 years ago, Krishna, he took birth or appeared in the womb of Mother Devaki, Prabhupada writes. Now, in our present crisis, Krishna has taken birth in the womb of ISKCON, or in the womb of the Hare Krishna movement. Kali Kalare Nama Rupe Krishna Avatar. In Kali Yuga, Krishna descends as the holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is Krishna's avatar for Kali Yuga. So just like 5,000 years ago, Krishna appeared to mitigate all these demoniac rulers. In the same way, Krishna has now appeared as the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. And this Hare Krishna mantra has taken birth in the womb of ISKCON, Prabhupada writes. So, it is said, Kale dose nide rajan asti eko mahadguna kirtana deva krishnasya mukta sangha param vraje. That in this Kali Yuga, it's like an ocean of faults. There is unlimited bad qualities. But there is one good quality, which is by simply chanting Hare Krishna, we can all go back home, back to Godhead. So that is the duty of ISKCON, to spread Krishna's holy name in every nook and corner of the world. The more we spread the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, the more demoniac elements in society will be mitigated. So that is the mood of our parampara, for preaching, doing outreach, to spreading the holy name. That is the only hope. So we're mentioning, previously in Dwapara Yuga, demons were born in the same families. Before that, demons were in different countries. Before that, demons were in separate planets. In Kali Yuga, it's said that demons are there in every single person's heart. So what to speak of demons being born in the same family? It's mentioned in Kali Yuga. Demons are there in every single person's heart. So that's why Krishna, he can't come with weapons and just kill the demons. Because if he had to do that, he has to kill everyone. There will be no one left. Because there's a demon in everyone's heart. So that's why it's said in Kali Yuga, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he comes with the holy name as his primary weapon. By giving the holy name to everyone, he kills the demon in everyone's heart. So Prabhupada writes, that is the duty of ISKCON, to spread this holy name in every town and village. And this is something that very much pleased Prabhupada. Why? Because it pleases Krishna. Like in 18th chapter of Gita, Krishna says that one who preaches, one who gives this message of the Gita to others, he is the most dear devotee of mine. Never was there a time when nor in the past, nor in the present, nor in the future will anyone be more dear to me than that person who preaches my glories, than that person who spreads my holy name, from that person who gives my holy name to others. So because a preacher or someone who's doing outreach is most dear to Krishna, Prabhupada, whenever he saw devotees wholeheartedly taking on the preaching mood and wholeheartedly preaching and making devotees, Prabhupada, he used to be so pleased actually. So that pleased Prabhupada a lot, and that is the way we can please Prabhupada, very quickly. There are so many examples. Like last time, we were giving the example of little Saraswati, who was the daughter of Shamsundar Prabhu and Maliti Mataji. So she was just a small girl, and Sutakriti Prabhu writes that in the whole world, she was the only person in the whole world who could come into Prabhupada's room whenever she wanted, without knocking, without asking permission, nothing. Everyone else, they first have to, knock on the door or ask permission from the servant or secretary, and then, with permission, enter Prabhupada's room. But it's mentioned that she was the only person in the whole world who can freely come into Prabhupada's room whenever she wanted, without permission. So she had a very sweet relationship with Prabhupada. And one thing she used to do is she used to just openly go up to people and ask people that I have something to tell you. Or she would ask people that, do you know who is Krishna? And then the person would say, no. And she would say, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and you should surrender unto him. Like this, she used to just go up to random people and preach to them. And when Prabhupada used to say this, Prabhupada was so happy and so pleased with her. And Prabhupada used to look at the other devotees, and Prabhupada used to say, you see this? This is Guru. She is Guru. She is big preacher. She is big preacher. We should all preach like her. Openly go up to people and tell them, you know who's Krishna? Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead. You should surrender unto him. So Prabhupada says, this is called preaching. Whatever we know, we should speak to others. It's not that we have to become big pandit, memorize 108 slokas from Gita, read all the books, memorize this, memorize that. No, Prabhupada says, whatever you know, you speak to others, you share with someone else. And that way you help spread Mahaprabhu's movement. And Prabhupada used to point at Saraswati. You see her? According to her capacity, she knows that Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead. And she's openly preaching that to whoever she meets. So this is called preaching, Prabhupada used to say. In his lectures, Prabhupada used to point her out as an ideal preacher. Prabhupada used to say, our Saraswati, she is big preacher. She is Guru, like that Prabhupada used to say. Although she's just, 2 years old, 3 years old, 4 years old, Prabhupada used to say, this is Guru. She is Guru. She is big preacher. So Prabhupada used to be very pleased with little Saraswati. And as we were saying, she was the only person who could come into Prabhupada's room whenever she wanted. And Prabhupada sometimes used to play with her also. It's given one of Prabhupada's things Prabhupada used to like doing was that Prabhupada used to like making Saraswati cry. In a fun way, actually. So, he was kind of like a grandfather-like figure with baby Saraswati. And Prabhupada, many times, he would do something and to make her cry, and then Prabhupada would laugh when she would cry. And then Prabhupada would again pacify her. For example, one time Saraswati was there with Prabhupada, sitting on Prabhupada's lap. And Prabhupada said, your father, Shamsundar, he is going away, to different country. And he'll go far away, and you'll never see your father again. He will never come back again. And then when Saraswati, she hears this, she immediately starts crying. What? I will never see my father again? And then she starts crying. Then Prabhupada says, okay, don't worry. You want to go with your father? And she said, yes, I want to go with my father. I don't want to leave my father. Then Prabhupada says, okay, what we will do, you see that suitcase there in that corner? We will pack you tight in the suitcase, and we will put you in the airplane, and for 3 full days you have to be in that suitcase, all alone with no food, nothing. And then again Saraswati starts crying, like that. And then Prabhupada would again laugh. Another time, again Saraswati, she is sitting on Prabhupada's lap, And Prabhupada asked Saraswati, are you old enough to go to Gurukul now? And Saraswati says, no, Prabhupada, I'm not old enough to go to Gurukul. I'm not old enough to go to, school. And Prabhupada says, no, I think you're old enough. What we will do? We will get the stamp. We will stamp your forehead with the stamp. And then we will take you outside. And you see that red letter box outside? We will pack you into an envelope and put you into that letter box. And we will post you to the Gurukul. And then she starts crying. Like that. So like this, Prabhupada used to, this was kind of like one of the games Prabhupada had with Saraswati. He used to always, play around with her in a joking way, make her cry. And again, he would pacify her. And actually, this Saraswati, little kids, they always like putting things in their mouths. So Saraswati, she was also like that. She would always be eating something, always have something in her hand, and always chewing on something. So one time Prabhupada said to her that, Saraswati, whenever I see you, you're always eating something. You always have something in your hand, you're always putting something in your mouth. You know what you remind me of? And then Saraswati is like, what, Srila Prabhupada? And then Prabhupada says, when I was in New York, I used to watch in the mornings, early in the morning, these big, big trucks, they come. And in the backside of the truck, it opens up like that. And then all the garbage goes into the mouth of the garbage truck. And then again, the back of the truck will again close his mouth. Like that. You remind me of those garbage trucks, in New York. Your mouth is just like that, Whenever I see you, you're always stuffing something into your mouth. Like this is very nice, sweet pastimes of Prabhupada and Saraswati. So one thing that Prabhupada used to really like about Saraswati is her boldness in preaching. She just used to openly go up to anyone and everyone and just ask them, who's Krishna? No, Krishna is Supreme Personality Godhead. You should surrender unto him. So that's the thing that pleased Srila Prabhupada a lot. And there's so many other examples. Like one pastime is there of Govinda Dasi Mataji. She was in Hawaii, and one time she came across a group of people who were saying that so-and-so person is an incarnation, or so-and-so person is God. So there was someone in Hawaii who was claiming to be God, and he had many followers. And these people, his followers, they were saying, the so-and-so person, he's God, or he's an avatar. And like this, they were talking. And when Govinda Dasi Mataji, she heard this, she immediately went to that group of people and started chastising them. That, you guys are all in illusion. How can you say this person is God? He's so ugly. How can an ugly person be God? God is the most beautiful. How can you say such an ugly person is God? Like this, she was trying to correct these misled people. Then later on, this message was brought to Prabhupada. And Prabhupada was so happy with Govinda Dasi's preaching that Prabhupada immediately called, his secretary, and Prabhupada told him, you contact the editor of BBT. In the next issue of BBT magazine, I want an article about Govinda Dasi. And the title of that article in the Back to Godhead magazine should be Heroine Govinda Dasi. That should be the title. Heroine Govinda Dasi. She's the real hero. She's going out and saving people from being misled by people who are claiming themselves to be God. So Prabhupada said, the title should be Heroine Govinda Dasi, and you write an article about how she went and she tried to preach and save these rascals from this cheater. Then another time, there was another Mataji actually, and she was interviewed by some newspaper journalists. So journalists came, and this journalist interviewed this Mataji, and this Mataji is also boldly preaching. And this Mataji was saying, previously I used to follow this celebrity, and this celebrity used to say, we should take LSD, we should take drugs, to elevate our spiritual consciousness. I tried that, it didn't work. Actually, this person is a cheater. He's simply cheating so many innocent youth. It's all bogus. Like this, she was very boldly and openly cheating, and whatever she spoke to the journalist was published in newspaper. And then when the newspaper was brought to Prabhupada, when Prabhupada read this, Prabhupada was so happy and pleased with this Maharaji's preaching that Prabhupada said, do you remember in the Krishna book, if you remember at the start of Krishna book, Prabhupada thanks George Harrison for sponsoring the first printing of Krishna book, right? Does everyone remember how much George Harrison gave donation for the first printing? Yes, very close, $19,000. So if you open up your Krishna book, you read I think it's the preface or introduction. At the end of that, Prabhupada writes that my grateful acknowledgement to George Harrison for his liberal contribution of $19,000 for the entire printing cost of Krishna book. So George Harrison had given $19,000 as a donation for printing of Krishna book. So when Prabhupada is reading this newspaper article, and Prabhupada is so pleased with this Maharaji for preaching so boldly, Prabhupada, he looks at the devotees around him and says that George Harrison, he donated $19,000 to me for my Krishna book. But this Mataji, or this so-and-so Devi Dasi, by her bold preaching, she has given me $19,000 million in charity. So that's how pleased Srila Prabhupada was. That he considered this Maharaji's preaching as equivalent to $19,000 million. Imagine someone gave that much as donation. $19,000 million is $19 billion. So if someone with full faith, following Guru Parampara, preaches Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement, push forward the Hare Krishna movement, in Prabhupada's eyes, that's equivalent to billions and billions of dollars. So that's how Prabhupada glorified this Maharaji. That George Harrison, he gave me $19,000. But you, by your preaching, you have given me $19,000 million. So this is the mood of Prabhupada. This is the mood of our parampara. To do outreach, to share the fortune we have with others. As we're discussing, this is the only hope. All the leaders of modern society, they're all, according to the Shastra, they're all demons. So we have no hope, working under them. The only hope is the holy name. The only hope is this Hare Krishna movement. Prabhupada says, more we spread the holy name, the more people will be saved. As we're saying, there's demon in all of our hearts, but by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, these demons can be uprooted. Okay, we're over time. We'll stop here. Gantra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Jaguru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Entire Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol.